Hey guys, good evening and welcome to Sunday Night Live. If you're watching this back, give us a hashtag replay. So tonight we have Kasia on with us. I'm just going to invite her in now. Hopefully it won't be too long until she jumps on. Hey guys, thanks everyone for watching. Hey Nicole. Hopefully it won't be too long. Love to know where everyone's checking in from. Let us know your location. Just adding her in now. If anyone's got any questions as we go through, just drop them in the chat below. It's taking a while to add in. Hey Linda. I think Cassia's just working it out. Here we go. Hey Jenna. If you guys can send over some love while we're just trying to get this interview started. Hey Don, thanks for jumping on. Hey Becky. Just trying to work out why this isn't working. Okay, let's try this again.
Hello. Yes, finally we're connected. Sorry, everyone. Had some glitches on my end.
No worries. Thanks for joining us. Just to give a bit of an introduction, so everyone knows who they're looking at here. So me and you met at Landmark, both on our own like personal development journeys. You're a transformation coach and a psychologist as well, living in Manchester.
Yes.
And yeah, I'd love to have you share a little bit more about yourself, your background, your hobbies, what you love to do.
Sure, yes. Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure as well to be on here and to be seeing so many people jump on and to be a part of our conversation. So I'm very excited. Welcome everyone, whoever's joining. I can see little comments pop up. Yeah, so a bit about me. So as you say, we met at Landmark, which is a great coaching platform. And my background, I'll tell you a bit about my cultural background as well, because I'm living in the UK, but obviously I don't have a UK accent. So I was born in Poland. I grew up in Canada, and I've been fascinated with personal growth, transformation, I think my whole life. It's been something that has been such a big part of my own journey, my own life, my own process of working on myself, and it's led me to pursue a career in psychology. So I'm a counseling psychologist, and I absolutely love what I get to do, which is getting to lead people through the process of transformation and to really facilitate that self-awareness that really helps us to be able to make choices that lead to the results that we want in our lives. And so I feel it's such a privilege to see people and to witness people go through that process. And I know we chatted earlier, and I was saying I think we're all on this journey of personal growth and transformation. I don't think it's just a few people. So I think one of my big passions is to just normalize it as well, and to really kind of bring in this awareness that personal growth is really for everybody, and we really need to reach out for support when we are struggling, because it's really difficult when you're going through something and you're on your own. But I'm very, very passionate about personal growth, personal development, and I have a lot of other projects that I do on the side as well, in addition to being a counseling psychologist, which I can share as we go through the live, but that's a bit about me in terms of my background.
Cool. And I know something that we have in common for sure, like loving to travel, and obviously you've lived in 3 different locations now as well.
Yeah. So I love to travel. I'm a bit of a nomad. Born in Poland, grew up in Canada, came to the UK to study psychology. Now I'm living here and have integrated, I think, enough. I don't have the Mancunian accent, but I think I'm really loving being here. And yeah, I think I've traveled as well to different locations around the world, and it's I find as well, like the more people I meet, the more I realize we are, there's differences, but underneath we really all are the same when you strip away all the layers. So, yeah.
Cool. So you mentioned you've had an interest in like personal growth pretty much your whole life. Like what got you started on it? Why did it like spark your interest?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's always the good question of like, gets us started on the personal growth journey. And for me, I think it was definitely, so it was a combination of my own interest in psychology and consciousness and the human mind. So ever since I was a little girl, I've always been very fascinated with how the mind works, and kind of trying to understand why people do what they do, and believing that maybe there's more out there to understanding our minds than, you know, we are tend to taught. So I always kind of felt like there was probably more information out there that could help us be able to use more of our minds, you know, use more of our consciousness to a better ability. So I was always fascinated with reading on the topic. And then my own kind of personal experiences, I had the thing that really kind of launched me into my own personal growth journey that was combined with my study of psychology was probably some of my own struggles. And, growing up, I had different things happen in my life, and, had moments of really struggling with self-worth and self-esteem. And there was a period when I was in my early 20s, I was about 21 or so. It was just a series of events that happened that really led me to have quite a big breakdown. So it was, within my family, my kind of relationships. And I think the thing that was kind of the final straw for me was, I remember really being excited I was living in Canada at the time, and I was going to go to Poland to see my aunt. And 2 months before I was meant to go see her, she committed suicide. And it was absolutely devastating for me. And I think it kind of, that sort of led me to just have a complete breakdown. And I really struggled to find, like, what do I need to do to just move myself into a place of being able to cope in a way that was healthy. And from the thing that really started it off for me was finding meditation. So that became a practice of mine that really opened up this whole new level of awareness for me. And I would, to this day, I'm such a big proponent of practicing meditation, because there's something really powerful about going within and doing a practice that allows your mind to really, one part of your mind to shut down, and to be able to access this deeper part of yourself that actually has a lot of wisdom and a lot of insight. So that was where my journey started. And then I began to pursue transpersonal psychology. I studied biopsychology as well. So it just became a journey of living the very things I was researching and studying upon. And it doesn't end. To this day, I'm still learning, still growing.
So with meditation, like, what kind of meditation do you do, and like, what do you get from it?
So I remember back then because there's so many different kinds of meditation. I don't know if you do meditation as well, if you've ever tried it. But I know for me, the thing that really worked for me was doing audio meditations. So back then I was doing a program called HoloSync, which I don't know if anyone's ever familiar with that, but it's basically like you listen through headphones to tones of different frequencies. So one tone goes in one ear, and a tone of a different sound frequency goes into another ear. And it's a very calming type of audio sound that then basically your mind kind of resonates to the difference between the two frequencies of sound. So it puts you kind of into these deeper brainwave states, because we're normally in our alpha state when we're awake, and then it takes you back, sort of going down into beta and theta brainwave states, which is the kind of deeper brain activity. So I was quite interested in the science of it, and I thought this sounds really scientific, so I'm going to give this a try. And so that was my starting point. But I think since then, I've done both transcendental meditation and using things like mantras, mindfulness meditation, which is also focusing on observing your thoughts and your emotions and just being present to them. So it's been a mixed bag since then, but that was what started it off for me. And I think for people that are interested in meditation, I think it is really worth exploring different kinds and different varieties and just seeing what really works for you. Because we're all different, so.
And yeah, you were wondering about me. So yeah, I've got Buddhify, so sometimes I do like guided meditations through that. I've done just like silence for 20 minutes. I remember I used to go out to the ocean and just sit on a rock and just meditate out there. It's like so peaceful and very, very calming. And I've used mantras in the past as well, so I wouldn't say anything like that disciplined, but yeah, I've definitely explored with it.
And I think that what you're saying about the going out in nature, I mean, that in itself is when you're out in nature, sitting in nature, listening to the sounds of nature, that can be such a healing space to practice meditation. So big fan of that one as well.
So in terms of like courses or like any kind of structured personal development courses, what have you done and what would you recommend?
Yeah, there's a lot out there. I think there's I think a big part of my journey has been studying psychology. So I've had kind of, I guess, the formal training, but I've been on some very, very interesting retreats as well. I think any kind of retreat or personal growth workshop or seminar is going to add value. So I've been to many different ones. One on authentic communication, I remember, which was a great retreat where the core component was about building a tribe of people that were very honest, radically honest with each other. So it was all about sharing the things you don't want to share with people. A very quick way to break the ice and build close connections. So that was through International Tribe Design. It's a great program. I've done, obviously we've done Landmark, which I'm a big proponent of that. It's a great coaching platform. Really kind of pushes you to have breakthroughs very, very quickly within a span of a few days. And there's been a few other ones that I've done as well with leaders in the personal growth space. So there's quite a few to mention. I can't even remember the names of all of them, but it's any of the ones that I think help push you beyond your limitations. I think the ones that really resonate with me are the ones that are experiential. So it's not just you go and you're just presented with information, but there's actually some kind of exercises that you do that really kind of move you into taking action or being able to move through some kind of an experience within yourself that really is healing. Even something like I remember doing breath work back in Canada as well, which is using the breath to really connect to healing things within yourself that may be stuck, or maybe it's like on such a subconscious level that you're not even aware that it's there. So breath work can be a really good way to heal. So there's so many, there's loads, but I would probably say if anyone is beginning to start, like if you're thinking of where do I begin, you can begin. It depends really on what you're looking for. I think any path is going to launch you into that space, and then you're going to be in that field, and you're probably going to find more and more people that are going to open up doors. But I think Landmark is probably a really good launching pad. We both know because we've been graduates of it. But even finding sometimes a personal coach, like if sometimes it's going to group events is great because it builds, a level of that community that's really important. But I do find that some people sometimes also do really well by going and individually seeing, a coach or a therapist and just signing up for a series of sessions to even just begin that process of inquiry and to yeah, just to have somebody there that's with you in that process and to hold you accountable and to help guide you with those questions that really help, you know, you discover those things about yourself that maybe you're not aware of that can really move you forward. So one-on-one coaching and one-on-one therapy is equally something I think is a good place to start.
Cool, brilliant. What if someone wants to like dip their toe in with a book? Do you have any like favorite books?
Ooh, again, there are so many books out there. I would say again, it depends what you're looking for. I mean, there's off the top of my head, I can think of for particular problems. So if someone, you know, I would say if you're really struggling with something and you're caught up in particular patterns that you know are not healthy, there is a book called Reinventing Your Life, and it's based on. I'm just trying to think of the authors. I can't think of the authors off the top of my head, but it's called Reinventing Your Life, and it's based on a lot of therapy models that deal with looking at our life traps and looking at how our past experiences put us in positions of being caught in these life traps. That there's 11 of them, and there's quizzes in there, so you can actually identify which of my life traps, you know, is the strongest one and which one do I tend to fall into the most. And then from there you can begin to really look at how do I begin shifting this life trap. So that would be something, if you know, that I would recommend if you're struggling with something, or if you're finding like I keep getting caught up in this pattern and, you know, I keep having these same results but I can't seem to get out of it. A book that really changed my life that is slightly different than that is a more spiritual book that I still tap into, you know, on a daily basis every now and then, which is called Conversations with God. And it's not a religious book. It's written by Neil Donald Walsh. But it's such a great book to look at exploring these deeper questions of why we're here, what's the purpose of life, all these questions that we have as human beings of like, why is my life the way it is? You know, why is it not different? Why do these things happen in the world? I mean, this book, when read with an open mind, really, really addresses all these questions from this place of, I would say, more of this higher consciousness, this higher perspective that is connected to spirituality. And it's a really great read. So that's one that I really tap into quite often. And another one that I would say that I'm currently reading, which is by one of my favorite authors and researchers, which is Dr. Brené Brown. So she does a lot of research on, particularly on shame and vulnerability, and also looks at courage. And she's got a book that I'm currently reading called Braving the Wilderness, which is a book on belonging and on how to stand alone sometimes in your own life's mission and purpose, and addressing this question of when you feel comfortable not belonging anywhere, that's when you actually find true belonging. So it's a book that looks at our deep, deep desire for connection and belonging, but ultimately we have to first belong to ourselves before we can belong anywhere else. And she describes her own process and her own journey as well of having to go through that learning because she didn't feel she belonged anywhere. So that's another great one that I recommend. But there's so many out there. I'll leave it with those three as a starting point, depending on, you know, what may jump out for different people.
Cool. And yeah, you know, I really resonated with that belonging aspect, because I think that certainly before I went to Australia, you know, I just felt like there was something else that I wanted to explore about myself, and often people get caught up in a certain environment and expect and think that they're different, when actually it's just that people haven't really like discovered themselves, and it's like that socialization aspect, that you think you should be a certain way. So yeah, it's really, really interesting. So if someone does
Yeah.
feel like that, like if someone, thinks that there's something else inside of them or they're stuck in a rut, what do you think they can discover? Like, what does going on a journey of personal growth really uncover for people?
Oh, it covers so much. I think it's worth it. It takes some courage, I think, to face ourselves and to really take that step to go there. But what you discover is like that you are so much more than you think you are, and that ultimately we have so much potential within ourselves. We have so much greatness. Like every one of us here is here for a purpose, is here for a reason. And when there's that inkling that like you kind of feel dissatisfied with something, or you feel like maybe there's something more, or like I'm just quite not living in fulfillment, that's worth paying attention to. And I think that's worth listening to, because it means that there's something inside of yourself that really wants to be expressed in the world, and it's calling you to go there. It's calling all of us to really step into that and to listen to that voice and to be like, what is that about? Maybe I need to pay attention. I need to just kind of listen to those particular internal, that little guidance system that's there, that little voice that says, you know what, this isn't enough for you. There's something more for you, or this isn't quite what you're meant to do. There's something bigger for you. And I think the more we listen to that, and the more we begin to step into that, the more we really end up fulfilling our purpose, fulfilling what we're here to do, and being a contribution to other people. Because if everybody was living in their purpose, I think, we would have a very different world. And life is, I think, meant to be enjoyed and meant to feel fulfilling. So if that's there, I say go for it. Like it will be challenging at times, because obviously when you step on that path, you're going to have to face all the parts of yourself that are playing small. You're going to have to face your fears. You're going to have to let go of certain things that are familiar and comfortable, that are actually not serving you, so that you can step into new patterns and a new identity and a new version of yourself that is actually more of who you truly are. And that's going to take something, but I think it's absolutely worth it. It's absolutely worth it. So yeah.
It's like you're being incongruent with your true self, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to be congruent with your true self, and you want to it feels when there's people use a lot of this word alignment a lot in the personal growth space, and I really think that your feelings are good guidance around that. Because if something doesn't feel right, if it feels off, it's usually because there's something out of alignment there, and we oftentimes ignore that, and we kind of think, oh, I'll just keep plugging along, keep doing what I'm doing, even though it doesn't feel good. But I would say actually to listen to your feelings, and listen to your intuition, because your logical mind might not understand what's happening. It might be like, well, why am I, I should be happy here. Why am I not happy here? But there could be something else underneath that needs to be addressed. So absolutely.
Cool. So you mentioned contribution, and I think that's a big part of personal growth as well. And you're serving people with contribution through the projects that you're doing with like choice point reductions. So can you share a little bit about that, and like the online courses that you're doing as well?
Yeah, so I'm hugely passionate. One of my biggest passions is really just about empowering people to be conscious choice makers. And what I mean by that is really developing the self-awareness around what's driving our choices, because our choices create our reality. And in my own life and with people that I've worked, I see so often like how easy it is to fall into making choices that are driven by fear, or driven by pain, like past or present, or driven by, anger or sadness or other really negative emotions. And And so what I really want to move into with the films that I'm doing is to help empower people to make conscious choices that are coming from a place of courage, a place of love, and a place of faith, because that creates different results. And there's been so many times in my life when I've sort of been at that choice point, and I'm like, am I going to let my fear like take over, or am I going to actually step into courage or step into love? And it can be terrifying to be at that choice point moment and be like, what am I actually going to do? But by allowing ourselves to step into things like courage or step into love, you know, choose to forgive when we want to take revenge, or choose to be vulnerable when we want to hold back, for example, like that makes such a huge difference. And so the current project that I'm working on now, it's a film around helping people make better choices in how they cope with past pain and past trauma. And so in particular, we've got a narrative that is focused around military veterans and how they navigate the process of recovering from being in service and the challenges that come with that. So some of those challenges could be experiencing post-traumatic stress. It could be navigating that process of returning to a different kind of world than what it was like for a period of service, where it was, you know, quite a different kind of experience. Navigating things like stigma around asking for support and being vulnerable and sharing that maybe there's some struggles there, and shifting those paradigms that exist within, you know, certain communities or even within masculinity around saying, you know what, I'm not okay. I need some help and I need some support, because we tend to, you know, see that there's quite a lot of conditioning around having to be strong, having to be, you know, put together, and hiding those struggles and those vulnerabilities. And so we really want to change that narrative and really highlight through this, it's a docudrama, how when this narrative shows a soldier coming back and going through these different experiences and having these certain choice points where he has to make decisions that are either going to move him forward or move him backwards. And so the film is all about showcasing those choice points and bringing in also real life interviews with other veterans and other ambassadors, people who have been on that journey and who have been faced with the same choices, and really bringing in their own personal life experience. So the viewers get an experience of the realness of what the narrative is about. So that's in the works at the moment. This film is scheduled to go into production this year. We really want to create a community around this film to not only entertain people with the film, but to also educate and empower people. So it's going to be coming out later on this year. At the moment, we're kind of in the process of seeking investment for the film, and also kind of getting all the components together with finding ambassadors. But it will be out, and so people can find it on the website. So we've got a website, it's called choicepointproductions.com, and all the information is going to be on there regarding how everything's developing, how people can join, how they can become involved. So I would love for, you know, if this resonates with anyone, that you do check that website periodically and just stay posted. You can subscribe. We've got a newsletter as well, so you can subscribe to our newsletter and we'll keep you posted on how things develop. So that's one of the projects that I'm doing, and
we can drop that link in the comments below as well, make it easy for people to have a look at what you're up to.
Yes, absolutely, that would be wonderful. To have that link there so that people can find us right away. Yeah, so that's a big one. It's huge. I'm hugely passionate about that. And the other thing that I'm developing as well, that is a big part of my work, and again, part of my own personal experience, is managing stress and anxiety. I think this is something that is like so many of us deal with on a regular basis. We all will have situations that bring about stress and anxiety. And I'm doing an online course in partnership with Unicorn Unlight. So they're a company that brings well-being programs into the corporate world. But what we've done is we've partnered together to create an online course that is for anyone. And it's going to cover a series of modules that really teach people how to deal with stress and anxiety in a way that allows them to manage and overcome those symptoms and really kind of address the root causes. So it's based on basically everything I do in therapy with clients, but it's packaged into a very easy course to go through with video modules and exercises. And it's taking like the most important things that I do in therapy and putting it into an online course. So it's kind of, you get the most powerful things that you'd get in therapy for a fraction of the cost and a fraction of the time that you need to invest. So it is for people who are really committed and who are willing to really step up and do the work. And that's going to be coming out in the next few months as well. So we're just in the process of doing editing and setting up the platform for that. And the best place to find that is actually through my own personal website, which is drkasiawilk.com. And again, I think we can probably post the link in the comments. So as that develops, I'm going to be posting how you can sign up, how you can register for that, and be a part of having that available if you choose to take it on board. But it's something that I found has been really valuable because I've had experiences in the past as well where I've had to deal with stress, anxiety, even panic attacks, on a few occasions, because life can get overwhelming, and we really kind of need the tools sometimes to know how to manage those experiences. So it's based on both my own personal and professional work. So both those things I'm super excited about, and yeah, I'd love to share it with people. I'd love for people to use them and to get value from them. So they're in the works.
Cool. I'm looking forward to those coming out. It'll be good to see.
Yeah.
So what's your vision for the future? Like, what do you want to? What kind of impact are you aiming for? Like, what other things do you see coming up in your future?
So I think, yeah, that's a big question. I think ultimately, my greatest joy, I think, is to be able to impact as many people as possible in a positive way, especially when it comes to, again, empowering people to make choices that are coming from a place of love, courage, or faith. Because I've seen in my own life and people I've worked with that is our place of power. And if that message can be spread to as many people as possible through the film platform, through my own work, through any way that I can bring that message to the world, it's absolutely one of the most fulfilling things for me. And I would love to see a world where everybody has the self-awareness to really know what's driving their choices and to really be making empowered choices that are coming from that place of self-awareness, and they're choosing courage, and they're choosing love, and they're choosing faith way, way more of the time than fear, or anger or pain. So for me, if that is something that everybody can get in the world, I think we're going to see a radically different world, because so much of the negative things we see in the world are happening simply because people are making fear-based choices, and they're focusing on self-protection, and they're not really able to see what's on the other side of their fears. So they're kind of operating in defensiveness and shutting down or attacking, and it's all driven by fear. That's all it is. Because at the end of the day, we all want to belong, and we all want to be loved, and we all want to be accepted for who we are. And I think when we don't feel that is there, and we go into self-protection mode and we start making fear-based choices. So that would be my vision. Yeah, that we all get to a place of being empowered in our choice-making process.
Mm, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else that you'd want to share that I haven't actually asked you?
I think the thing that I mean, I'm hoping that people are getting value from what I'm saying. I think that, you know, I'm still in this process as well. I'm still learning. I think the thing that I guess I want to share is just that we're all in this journey together. And, you know, having conversations like this, I think is incredible, because it allows us to kind of be able to share, and create community. And I think the other important thing is that people know that they're not alone. You know, I know you and I, Kevin, have talked about this, that when we're surrounded by the right community, when you have people around you that are supportive, and when you can feel safe enough to open up and talk to people about what's really happening, it makes such a difference, because we need people to believe in us, to support us, to, you know, let us know, maybe sometimes even see things in ourselves that we don't see in ourselves. So I think if, you know, sharing this kind of message, whether this Facebook Live, I mean, if this resonates with anyone, you know, do share it, to put the message out there. And I'm just really grateful that we get to have this conversation, and that we get to be part of a community that, you know, is there. It's the personal growth community. It's everybody supporting one another. And I'd encourage everybody to dive in, and to discover more of who they are, and, you know, find the people around you that are going to support you, whether that is starting with a coach, or it's, you know, joining a community like Landmark. Anything is possible, really. Anything is possible.
Cool. Thanks
Would
for
you
sharing
agree?
that. Yeah,
If you want to share
absolutely. Do you
anything
know,
about your own
well, do you know,
experiences.
something that pops up a lot in the podcast I listen to, especially, is that, and from lots of like different thought leaders, is that if you can think it and if you can dream it, then you can make it reality.
Absolutely.
Just,
Yeah, I second that. Absolutely. And it's worth experimenting with. I always say, if it sounds too far-fetched to believe something like that, just see it as an experiment. Like, what would happen if I tried on the belief that I could do it? And I just played that game. You know, I just played the game, like, today I'm going to experiment, I'm going to test this out, and I'm going to see if I fully dive in and I believe I can do it and I go for it. What will I discover in this experiment? And you'll probably find that what you believe does create your reality. So the more you experiment with your beliefs and you try on beliefs that really are empowering, you'll start creating that kind of reality, which is great. I mean, it means, again, that we're all very powerful without realizing how powerful we are.
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, if anyone wants to come and have a conversation with you, if anyone wants to explore a little bit about what you're doing, where do they find you? What's the best place?
So I guess email, so people can email me. That's probably the best way. So that would be info, INFO, at drkasiawilk.com. They can also find me through my website, drkasiawilk.com. And I'm also on social media, so Facebook, Dr. Kasia Wilk, Instagram at Dr. Kasia Wilk. So any of those platforms, people can reach me, and yeah, I'd be happy to connect and just see how I can support anyone that's willing to be supported and share my experiences. So yeah.
Cool. And yeah, I'm ready to wrap it up here. I just want to say thanks for your time, and for everyone watching as well. If anyone does have any questions, feel free to drop in the comments as they're replaying. And yeah, thanks again.
Awesome. It was so great to chat with you, Kevin, and it's been so enjoyable. Thank you for having me. And I'm wishing everybody an amazing rest of the day or evening, depending what time zone they're in. And it's been so great to be able to connect with everyone.
Cool. Thank you very much. See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take